Fluorescent lights glowed overhead. The incessant chit-chat bantered around the break room, and a single male figure sat at a table in the corner. Eyes watched the others move around. Nothing was exceptional, just another day at the office during another lunch break. His gaze drew back to his sandwich, a bite taken out of it, and his mind simply wandered to what needed to be done that day. What department should he look over? What did he want for dinner? The continuous conundrum of the thought process made the lunch hour tick by far more quickly than he would have liked, but at least his office was quiet. As everything was packed up, he headed out of the room, but not before grabbing some coffee. Coffee, the lifeblood of the corporate world. Without it, the world would most certainly implode, and society would crumble to its knees without the roasted bean that gives them most indigestion, but the necessary caffeine in which to sustain the mind's activity throughout the day. He shook his head while a wry smile crossed his lips. Well, there was always video games. He entered his office, the door squeaking slightly, but he ignored it. No point in wasting breath on the little things. And then his mind turned to what game he should play later that night so that he could wind down. Dead Space? Resident Evil? Doom? Who knew? He'd probably just pick one at random and record it for his channel. That was always a good idea. As the hours ticked by, he realised it was finally time to leave. Finally time to go home and wind down with some games. Lock clicked into place, signalling that his office was safe, and he headed down the hall to the lift. Fingerpad pushed the down arrow button only once and he stood by, waiting for it to reach the floor from wherever he was coming from. The doors slid open, another male was already in there. He stepped inside and the steel clambered shut. He faced the doors, the other male not seemingly bothered by him, but suddenly the other one spoke. "Hello." He stared at him. "Hello. Rough day?" "When is it not a rough day?" He laughed. "Yeah, I hear you there." Silence engulfed the lift once more. It wasn't uncomfortable, but still awkward, and the other male felt it was time to make a change. He'd been ostracised before in this department for what he did in his spare time, and what's more to add to the list? "I usually play games to wind down after a hard day." This piqued his interest. "Really?" The other male nodded, waiting to be scoffed at, but only a question was directed towards him. "What kind?" It took the other male a moment to realise that this man was asking him the types of video games he played before he replied. "All kinds." There was a momentary pause. "Why, you play too?" "Yeah!" "I'll be damned." "I'm Barton Thatcher," replied the male as he put out his hand. It was taken firmly. "William Cumberland, nice to meet you." "You as well." As they disengaged their hands, Barton decided to add to the new revelation. "I put them on my YouTube channel. What about you?" William couldn't believe what he was hearing. This man, Barton Thatcher, worked in the same building as him, played video games like him, and even had a YouTube channel. How on earth did he miss this employee? He chuckled. "Actually, I do. It's WomblesGaming." "That's awesome! I'm Ghost Cloud, with an underscore and zeros instead of O's." "Clever." Barton grinned. "Thank you. What games have you—" Before anything else could be asked, the lift abruptly stopped. The lights above flickered, and they were cast into darkness. Barton was more quick on his cellular phone, accessing the flashlight function to give darkened lift some form of ambient lighting. "What the hell is this?" "I don't think I've ever been stuck in an elevator before." Silence. I mean, if I wanted to be stuck in an elevator, it certainly wouldn't be with a guy. Maybe a hot girl, but a guy who plays video games, just as good as a hot girl. More silence, and William felt a chuckle escape him. That soon turned into full-fledged laughter, with Barton joining in soon after. After they settled down, William commented, "Maybe we should try the emergency button." He knelt down to the panel, pulled it open, and pushed the button, but to no avail. "Does your cell work here?" Barton scoffed. "Yeah, right. I don't think I've ever had a cell that works in an elevator." He chuckled. "I suppose not." "Well, we have to get these doors open at least to see where the hell we are." "I agree." William put his bag down and Barton approached the doors. They tried to pull it open, but neither could get a grip on the steel doors, as they were thoroughly clamped shut like a vice, or an acquaintance who doesn't quite want to return the money he borrowed from you, and is gripping it like his life depended on it before releasing it to your custody. "Fuck!" He glanced at Barton. "Sorry about that." "Nah, it's fine, curse away." "Good, I tend to do that when I'm frustrated or scared." "I see." There was silence. William couldn't help the sneaky grin on his face, but wondered how Barton would take the humour. The man played video games. He had a YouTube channel, so his humour had to be there. William took a risk, and asked with the same grin on his face, "Are you scared now?" Barton was flabbergasted. No! I'm frustrated that we can't get this door open." Sure you are. William, came from Fred in another tone. Yes, honey? Silence engulfed the lift, and the two men couldn't help the chortling laughter that erupted from them. It took a good few minutes for it to pass, but eventually they were able to catch their breath. Oh, where have you been all my life? In the basement. This only concluded more laughter from William as Barton headed to the emergency panel. I'm going to rip this thing off its hinges. Maybe we can use it to pry it open. Sounds like a plan, replied William in a breathless voice. As they pried the panel off, they proceeded to shove it between the vice-like doors and use it as a lever to open their prison. At first it didn't move. Neither steel clam wanted to be separated from its partner until a rusty squeak was heard. This gave them the hope and determination that was needed to push the rest of the doors open. Once the gap was big enough, William took the right side, Barton on the left, and they pulled with all their might until the space was large enough for them to pass through onto the floor that it had halted. William made sure to grab his bag, slung it across his body, and they headed onto the strange floor. Looks like it's 10, stated Barton. Guess we're hoofing it down 10 flights. Man, I'll really need to wind down after this. I meant to ask you, what games have you played? Barton was about to answer, but a strange sound made him pause. He stared into the corridor that was lit by emergency lights. Please tell me that was just someone banging their foot against a chair or something. The croaking sound came again, slightly closer than before. If I tell you that, will you feel better? No. Okay then. The two men edged close to the nearest open door. Barton shone his light inside, and they were met with a woman. She was dressed like a secretary and simply standing there, albeit wavering a bit on her feet. Miss? No answer, but the croaking sound did emit from her larynx, so it was safe to assume that she was the source of the sound. Barton sighed. Jesus fuck, woman, you nearly gave us a heart attack with that damn sound you're making. He approached the woman with anger flaring up in his eyes and his voice. William tilted his head. Suddenly all those video games began to make sense. Barton? No way. I'm going to give this woman a place on my mind. Barton! What, William? He was a few feet from the secretary as he glanced over his shoulder at the man in the hall. Have you played any zombie games? What the hell does that have to do with now? Have you? Yeah, and seen movies. Why? William only pointed to the woman as Barton turned to look at her. This time she had raised her head, and he didn't like what he saw. Large gashes in her neck and blood seeping out of it. With the amount of blood loss, Barton figured she should be dead. But here she was, annoying him with that voice of hers and standing on her 2 feet. Instinctually, he jumped back as the woman's eyes rolled around their sockets to focus on him, and they were blank. Dead, in fact. Ah, fuck! She lunged at him, he dodged her, and he ran into the hall as William grabbed the door to pull the office cubicles closed. Effectively, it sealed her off, but now she was banging on the door. Thanks, man. I owe you one. Happy to help. Okay, so she's a zombie? I guess. Barton blanched. Hold on a minute. William looked at him. All those zombie games start out the same. Some kind of disease happens outside of a hospital or a building, then it gets inside, infects people, and they all turn on one another, effectively creating a horde of zombies. That's right. I've played DayZ and Miscreated. So yeah, we're in a zombie apocalypse. They were quiet for a moment. So I don't have to work in IT anymore? William blinked for a minute before laughing, and nodded in affirmation. He grinned. I'll take it. They proceeded to walk on the empty floor, with a banging noise fading behind them. When we get out of here, do you want to come to my place to play games? It sounds like a date. It's not a date. William chuckled, but he could see the smoke on Barton's face. Apparently they had similar taste in humour, and that sat quite well with Mr. Cumberland. Maybe we should find some weapons. We're bound to run into more of them, and I don't want to get caught unawares. Great minds think alike. Let's look around. There has to be something here. You mean like a stereotypical fire axe? He nodded. We'll meet back here in 10 minutes. Once it was agreed upon, they split up to find some sort of weapons that could be used. Eventually, William heard the sound of shattering glass, but ignored it as he probably already suspected that Barton had found a weapon. Upon his search, however, nothing seemed to come up that would be useful in bashing in the head of a zombified co-worker. Really? I finally meet someone who's just like me, then we're thrown into a zombie apocalypse and I can't even find a fucking weapon that would be useful? He growled in frustration as he used cellular light as a guide in order to see better, and possibly avoid any lingering white-collar zombies. More spelunking around the corridor led him to a janitorial chest. There's usually something in these things. He paused with a hand on the knob. There are also usually zombies in these things too. He sighed, grabbed it, and pulled it open while manoeuvring so that the door hid him from view, just in case there was an undead person who wanted to eat his flesh from his bones. Silent, he let out a breath, peeked around with his light, and saw that it was empty, void of any life, undead or otherwise, and there appeared to be some things of use. William searched around until he found a metal baseball bat. Whatever he was going to use this for, I don't want to know, but thanks, buddy. He grabbed it, liking the weight of it, and he was about to leave until something else caught his eye. Flashlights, 4 of them to be exact. So he doused his phone, grabbed them, and slipped them into his bag with his phone, but kept 2 of them out. He made his way back to his newfound companion. Barton was already waiting there, holding the stereotypical fire axe. Got something? Probably not as good as your axe, but it'll do. Barton whistled and nodded in approval with a grin. Here, William tossed him the flashlight. Thanks, man, this'll be better than our phones. Yep, I've got 2 more that I found in the janitorial closet, so if we come across any more, then we should be able to find some. Better than casting around batteries. Yeah, if all else fails, we can use them as weapons too. And do what with them? Throw them? William gave an exasperated sigh. Really? Really? A chuckle escaped them. So since we're in a zombie apocalypse, I'm gonna call you Wombles. Really? Yeah, really. They were silent. Wombles? Alright, Ghost, you're on. Hey, let's make it fun. How so? Keep a point system. William raised a single eyebrow at him. Whoever gets the most points by the time we reach the exit gets to pick the game back at my place. Batter up! Cried Barton as he swung his axe into the neck of another one. It cut clean through, the head rolled on the floor, its mouth open and closing like a fish out of water. That's just disturbing. Maybe we should develop a game after this experience. One's already made. Oh yeah, Dead Rising. Amongst others. Damn, I thought we had something original. Meh, we can always write a book about it or a graphic novel. Yeah. Silence and more groaning. I'm ready for round 2. How about you, Ghost? I'm always ready for another round. William grinned as they rushed towards the 2 lingering ones, with their heads funking towards the floor, and their laughter following. It was clear that this was the start of a blossoming friendship that would last eons. Hey, what floor are we on? Looks like 9. We were heading down, but those stairwell zombs got us cornered. Any other way out? Out of a stairwell. Hopefully this one isn't crawling with them. Barton nodded in agreement as they progressed forward with their journey. I wonder if this building's been quarantined yet or if all of London's affected. There was some scientist who decided to use our building as a test site for the military. Something about creating the ultimate bioweapon, so it's quarantined. How do you know this? Barton smirked. If I told you, then I'd have to kill you. Barton chuckled, but that smirk never faltered. You're joking, right? Nope. Seriously, how do you know this? I can't tell you. There was silence. This doesn't break our friendship, does it? A grin crossed the manager's face. Just because you refuse to tell me where or how you got your information doesn't mean that our date is off. It's still on. I just know that now you have secrets, and I'm cool with that. He felt a fist in his arm. Barton had punched him. It's not a date, Wombles. Sure, anything you say, hon. Oh my god, let's just move, alright? He nodded, wearing that same grin, but he knew that Barton found the humour good too, as he was chuckling quietly to himself as they crossed the cubicles to another stairwell. Groaning was heard near their position. Instead of being upset or disgruntled by it, they were both overjoyed at the thought of getting to bash more heads from necks. Immediately they panned around to find the source. William glanced down. It was half a torso, dragging itself towards them with the use of its mummified arms. I think he's been dead a really long time. Maybe he died when this place was being built and he got buried in the wall. That's sad. Yeah, poor fella. The butt of a baseball bat crashed the heading. The sickening crash and squish of the subsequent brain made William gag, but he managed to state, "Moving on, no time to waste on the undead." He manoeuvred the past corpse with Barton catching up quickly. Ah, there it is. I swear if there's a bunch of zombies in here, I'm going to push a desk down the stairs. Yeah, I hear ya. They listened closely. It was silent, so Barton pulled it open while William had his bat at the ready. More silence. And they peeked inside. Spots of light floated around slowly. They scanned every crevice that they could see, and once it was clear, they cautiously entered. It was as if they were in tandem with each other. If Barton looked one way, William did the opposite, so that neither of them could be surprised around a bend. It was a miraculous event that they were able to make it to the 6th floor, but there was debris in the way. Shit! That's a problem. Barton was clearly annoyed, and it made William wonder if his temperament was evidenced in his work. He did work in IT, and that generally would shorten someone's temper of how many idiots worked in the corporate world. So did he always have a short temper, or was it something that had developed from talking with morons who didn't know why a firewall was there? Again, who was to say for sure, but William knew that Barton would never take the temper out on him. They were too similar. He patted the man's shoulder. Don't worry, we can cross the 6th floor then head down the other stairs. Yeah, but those stairs had a bunch of zombies in them. We'll have to give it a shot. Silence. Want to push a desk down the stairs? Barton grinned. Sure. They exited on the floor. Hey, they have a break room here. Want to get some food? Yeah, all this exercise is making me hungry. Great, let's get food. As they flicked their lights around, there was a group of still corpses standing there, blocking the path to the treasure that they sought. Barton ground his teeth together, but it was William that smiled, and he asked, "What are you smiling about?" I don't know, seems like this is actually more fun in person than in a game. But I do hate to get blood on my shirt. I'll have to throw it out. Same here. There was a momentary lapse into silence before Barton shouted, "Let's roll some heads!" Yeah! They gave one another a high five, which drew the attention of the horde, and those maniacal grins never left their faces as they itched to relieve themselves of the primal urge to destroy moronic peons that had conveniently turned into zombies. Nothing could sate their desire more unless it was video games and bantering. As they put their weight into it, William felt a kinship start to form with Barton, and he knew it was going to be a friendship to last. As the last head rolled away, they were breathing heavily and headed towards the break room in order to scavenge for food and water. I'm going to need a pint after all this shit, stated Barton. Shall I bring some to our date? You provide the games and I'll provide the booze. I love it. They entered, rummaged around, and managed to find some protein bars as well as cereal bars. It's something. Yep. They took a seat with their weapons nearby, and William looked at Barton. How did he get involved in IT? I'm good with networking. How about you? Management. Really? Yeah, why? You don't seem like the stuck-up type to be a manager. William snickered. I'm more laid back than the others. Oh, can you be my manager? I don't think that's possible. We've probably lost our jobs due to this. Whatever it is that's happened. Military mishap. Right. William bit into a bar, chewed it thoughtfully, and asked, I wonder why we never crossed paths before. Because you actually know how to fix a computer and don't need help? True. They laughed together for a while before finishing off their food. They gathered some old coffee into 2 thermos and proceeded towards the upper end of the hall. Each one put an ear against the door, listening for any sounds. It was quiet, and William whispered, I don't hear anything. Me neither. Slowly the bat was brandished while the door was pulled open, as quietly as they could make it, and the flashlight bounced around the hall. No sign of life, alive or dead, and William poked his head into the stairwell, only to have his body yanked back by Barton. The door was promptly slammed shut, and William noticed that Barton's hands were shaking. What the hell, man? There was a zombie above you, attached to the wall. I think. I'm not sure. I wasn't going to lose you so soon, alright? I would hug you, but I don't think it's warranted right now. No, it's not. You're safe, that's good. And you? He glanced at him, a grin on his face, but the relieved expression in his eyes told William otherwise. I'm fine. Right, let's rest a bit and maybe the cavalry will come and get us. Maybe. We took seats in the break room once more, and Barton stared at the thermos that was sitting on the table. Hard to believe just hours ago my brain was going to explode from having to answer stupid questions. Yeah. They both laughed at that. Hard to think that I was in a weird state of mind about coffee. Coffee? Yeah, how it gives people indigestion but the necessary caffeine to fuel their brain, and without it the world would most certainly implode. Barton stared at him, William stared back, and it didn't take long for the other man to crack. His laughter was infectious, something that probably shouldn't have been warranted considering their predicament, but the thought was just too hilarious not to laugh at. You're so weird. Says a man who gets easily scared. I'm not scared. R2, I'm not. Silence. A few chuckles. R2. Oh, for fuck's sake, Wombles. He laughed at it. You're really something else, you know that. He nodded his affirmation. Good, glad you know it. Despite the anger and frustration in Barton's voice, William could clearly see the grin plastered on his face. The humour was there, the kinship was there, and a friendly bond, brothers in arms. The world probably would implode if not for coffee. William nodded sagely in agreement, which only prompted Barton to laugh again. There was a sudden noise, alerting one of them that they had a text message. "That's me, hold on a sec." Barton whipped it out, read it, then replied immediately. "Will you ever tell me who you're texting if it's not family? Maybe one day, or perhaps you'll get to meet them." "Meet them? You're bringing me home to your family?" Wombles. His voice was dangerous, but William could only grin in spite of himself. Perhaps it was the fear of almost getting bit, or the fear that they would never get out of there alive. It was something, and he hated not knowing what it was, but he would persevere, if only to hang with his new friend outside of work. Is this considered overtime? I don't know. Maybe. I better make a note of this. I'm not getting ripped off my overtime. Me neither. It was another half hour before William stood up. I'm getting anxious. We need to get out of here. What else is there to do? You ever play Assassin's Creed? Yeah, why? Want to try scaling down a building? It's 6 floors up! And? We could die! We could die in that stairwell too. Either we scale or we try to move the debris blocking the hall. But I guarantee the debris is there for a reason. Shit. I kinda wish I knew how to make a Molotov cocktail. Seriously? Yeah, set zombies on fire. No, not that. I mean, you don't know how to make a Molotov cocktail? No. Silence. Do you? Barton grinned. You know where to get some highly flammable alcohol? Maybe. Usually in a slacker's desk. What are we waiting for? Let's start looking. Barton and William split up. The information technology employee took the west side and the manager took the east side. Sounds of drawers opening echoed all around the floor. Contents were being dumped onto the floor just to make things easier to search. And when nothing was found, the desk was tipped on its side. Why are you doing that, Wombles? So I know which ones I've already searched. You're a genius. Why, thank you. The west side had desks being turned on their side along with the east section of the floor. William kept his cool while Barton's temper began to flare up, and he only grinned. Patience, Ghost. Grumbling was heard from the other side of the floor, which made William chuckle as he went through another assortment of drawers. One more desk to add to the shambled floor as they continued to search for the elusive slacker desk in order to find the alcohol to make a Molotov cocktail so they could torch some zombies. Dead Rising is a fun game, but apparently it's far more fun in real life, he whispered to himself. Not as scary as I originally thought. Maybe because there's not an orchestra to accompany the dire atmosphere here. It wasn't long before William found his mind slipping into the worst case scenarios, but he pushed them out of his mind when he saw Barton throw a chair across the room. He snickered while he searched for another desk. Just as Barton flipped the last desk over on his side, William did the same. No booze was found, but he thought for a moment before he yelled, "Ghost!" He caught the man's attention. Maybe the slacker is a manager on the floor. He nodded in agreement, but the problem was the office was locked. Let's go. The pair made their way there. Barton was going to smash the glass, but William stopped him. Let's see if there are any zombies in there first. How? William knocked on the door. There was silence. He knocked again. Hello? More silence, but a faint mumble. Hello? We're human out here. You are... Holy shit, there's a live one! Exclaimed Barton. Yeah, replied William. What about those things? He glanced around. Dead again. We killed them. No worries, it's safe out here. There was some shuffling heard as whoever was on the other side moved around. A click and the door opened up. They were faced with a somewhat small-statured male with glasses, mousy in appearance and head shevelled. You alright? I was, but then everybody started attacking each other. So I ran in here. How did you two survive? Really? Questioned Barton. It was then that the little male saw the blood spattered on their shirts and the weapons they brandished. Oh, I see. Barton was getting increasingly impatient. You're the only two I've seen alive so far. No shit. Well, we're trying to get out of here without getting bit, so you got any alcohol back there? Alcohol? What for? A Molotov cocktail, replied William. The man stared at him. We're going to torch some zombies and debris in order to get down to the rest of the stairs. Right, I think I saw some in the drawer. Barton nodded as the man with the glasses allowed them to enter. They rummaged around a bit and found the bottle. Vodka! Nice! Exclaimed Barton happily. William nodded as they were about to head out when the man made a squeak. What? Take me with you. No, you're just going to slow us down. Come on, I want to get out too. Let him come, Ghost. No Wombles. The man stared at them, but Barton sighed and William smiled. Come on, we'll do our best, but you have to look out for yourself. And if you get bit, we'll leave you behind. I understand. My name is Weasel. Beg pardon? Weasel, replied Barton. Because you're acting like one, so I'm going to call you Weasel. And I'm not up for remembering names anyway. It's fine. Weasel it is. William was surprised that this guy even allowed himself to be called that. But if he felt that Barton was able to protect him, then he would do whatever he said. Barton had asked the man a question and he replied, I have a lighter on me. I used to smoke, but now I just flip it on and off again. Guess you're not so useless after all, Weasel. He nodded as the trio headed for the other stairs, where zombies weren't hanging from the ceiling to try and bite their heads off. Once the door was open, silence. Barton opened the bottle, looked at them. I need some cloth. Their new friend removed his tie, handed it over, and the IT male promptly doused it in the alcohol, then shoved some of it in the bottle. Alright, Weasel, you're small. Have a look over that debris and see what you can see. William handed over one of their flashlights. He took it, and quietly crept towards the debris. He climbed up it with minimal effort, then shined the light over it. It wasn't long before he immediately rang back to them. There are a bunch of them down there. I don't know what they're doing, but they're just standing around like they've gone into standby mode or something. I see, replied William. Better for us, let's do it. Weasel whipped out his lighter, lit the cloth, it caught fire, and Barton approached the debris. He tossed the bottle over, it shattered, and it wasn't long before the wooden furniture caught fire, as well as the zombies. The three headed back to the floor to avoid the stench of burning flesh. That smells so awful. I didn't think it would smell that bad. Weasel promptly retched nearby while William was covering his nose and mouth. Ghost, you're a monster. Barton stared at his new friend. I love it. He grinned as Weasel was able to make himself more presentable. You alright? Yeah, I just didn't expect to smell that. He paused and asked, You two came from the other stairwell, right? No, we came from this one, but check the other one. Why? The door's open. Barton and William immediately raised their weapons. You didn't leave the door open. No, we closed it on account of a wall crawler. Wall crawler? Yeah, replied Barton. There was a zombie stuck to the wall. Almost got Wombles. Oh. Suddenly Weasel was lifted from the ground. He screeched, and the other two turned around quickly. Curved claws wrapped around his neck as the zombie was attached to the wall. Help me! Help me! I don't want to die! Sorry, pal, but you're already dead. What the fuck are you talking about? Save me! Not a chance. William sighed. You were already bitten, Weasel. I saw it on your hand. It was from falling. Nope, that's a bite, reported Barton. So you're just gonna let me die? That's the plan. Fuck you, ghost! Yeah, and fuck you too, Weasel. We gotta go now. They ran into the burning stairwell as they heard the screams of the other guy. The fire was still burning. Shit! William glanced around, pointed to the railings. Barton nodded, and the two of them vaulted over them to reach the next set of stairs. The zombies had all apparently fallen to the lower floors, which made their progression easier until they had to stop on the third floor. Fuck! The pair stumbled into the room. The door promptly shut behind them, and both were heaving for clean air. Did you happen to keep count on how many zombies you killed, Ghost? Nah. You, Wombles? Nah. Oh well. We'll toss a coin. Sounds good. Only then did Barton realise he was covered in unpleasantness. I'm covered in soot, blood and sweat. The scent of manly men. Pfft. Barton cracked into laughter, which only made William stare at him. He shrugged his shoulders, and immediately tensed up. He pushed Barton to get his attention, but it didn't work, so he shoved him into a wall. Wombles, Wombles, what gives? He pointed to the man who stood before him. Huh? Barton didn't seem the least bit perturbed by their sudden appearance, but William was quaking inside. He could knock the head of a zombie because they were already dead, but he knew he couldn't kill a living human. He didn't have it in him. Abruptly, one of them stepped forward and asked, Are you alright, boss? William blinked a few times as he looked at Barton. The man before him in a black suit with a red tie was referring to Barton as boss. It confused him greatly, but he was able to piece things together rather quickly after the initial shock wore off, which was when Barton spoke. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks to my new friend Wombles. An eyebrow was raised in his direction. Right? Right. How did you know I'd be here? We figured after analysing the building and logging your GPS on your phone that you would eventually end up here. Good man. Your friend? He's fine. He's coming over for games and beer. William didn't like the stares that he was getting from these men, but he stood his ground. Hey, he's a friend. He does the same things as me. An incredulous stare from his subordinate. Well, the things I do in my spare time. He nodded. Very good, sir. He turned to William. Come on then, let's get 2 of you out of here and cleaned up. You smell like a fire pit. It's a manly man's scent, reiterated Wombles, which made the man before him crack a smile. Barton stated with a grin, I told you he's fine. Come on, Wombles. What's your name, sir? Asked the man in the suit. William Cumberland. Very good to meet you, Mr. Cumberland. Come, we have some cars waiting downstairs, round the back as to avoid the military personnel in the front. You don't like to tangle with them, do you? Not much. Is it you that does the entangling all the time when things get wound up? The man chuckled. It is. I see why Boss likes you. I thought it was because we both play games and put them on YouTube. Part of it. The humour is the same. I'm guessing that it's mostly because I know how to fix a computer if it troubles me, so he doesn't have to do it for me. I'm the wife and I can't have my husband taking care of me all the time. The man snickered. You're quite right, Mr. Cumberland. I can hear you two back there. I'm not that far away and you're not my wife! Of course he's not, boss. He leaned over and whispered. Have no worries. We will watch out for you on behalf of boss. He really does like you. I know.